I was working at North Carolina. We had a bye week, and one of my walk-on DBs said, "Coach, do you recruit Atlanta?" I said, "Yes." He says, "Well, if you get a chance, stop by my school. I think they have a player who's a pretty good player." He was describing Kyle. So I had some time. I stopped by the school, and coach signed off on him. Then you see the kid play and move around, and you're like, "Oh my God, how can I keep this from the rest of the world?" In the meantime, the season ended at Carolina. It was a whirlwind. I became safeties coach here, and he was one of the first people that we reached out to get an offer to. And throughout the recruiting process, it was like the perfect storm. It was a kid who was very level-headed, knew what he wanted. Basically at Marist, he went to a little Notre Dame, so it was already kind of set up for us. And really, he was a kid who kind of stayed strong throughout the process. Started off as 2 or 3 star, ended up as a 5-star. But the truth of the matter is he never really got affected by the process. He called me about a month before he went public and said that he was coming to Notre Dame, just to not tell anybody. So that was my biggest challenge, to not tell anybody. And so I had to stay quiet for a month, and true to his word, he released it, and it was a big get for us.
Did you manage that?
Yeah, I did, because I didn't want to mess it up. So he knew that I was the only one he told, so I couldn't tell anybody.
And just his skill set, how unique is that? I realize you don't want to overhype a guy who has not played in a game, but there are things about him that seem to be different than other safeties.
Yeah, I mean, you have a guy who's 6'3", who can move around like he's 5'10", 5'11". I think that's the biggest difference with him and other guys, is that he's so long. So he can play out there in some one-on-one situations and jump balls, and have the ability also to cover a guy in the slot. So it is a unique skill set.
Up to the right over here.
This camp, what have you seen on the corners? Who do you see as some of the biggest playmakers kind of stepping up and filling that void left by Julian?
Well, obviously, losing a guy, All-American like Julian Love, you're going to have some holes to fill. But I think as a group, those guys have really done a nice job stepping up. I think Troy's had a pretty good camp, obviously going against a great down-the-field catcher like Claypool day in and day out. It really gives him an opportunity to sharpen his skills, and we've been preaching sharpen the axe all camp, and so I think he's really battled. A lot of the guys have been banged up at times at that position, but I think Tariq has come through and showed some consistency, really grown up, matured a lot from last year. And then the rest of those guys, getting Sean back, and Houston's been dinged a little bit. So I think all those guys as a group, we're going to have about 5 guys that we can roll out there and play winning football.